Able to see my screen?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all. Welcome to the session today. So this is to discover the components of the UiPath platform. All right. So my name is Rajanish Balakrishnan. I'm the 5 times UiPath MVP and Director and Intelligent Automation Manager for To Automate Anything. Right. So last week we really had a very good, interesting session. So it's a kind of a startup to the business analysis role, right? So we had a high-level introduction and a high-level discussion about all the tools that are required uh, to um, to become a successful business analyst, right? So today, what I have planned is to take through you to a few more very important topics that will help you do this role even much better, right? So I have implementation methodology model, so which I thought, it is really important to understand before you go and understand more about the tools we have, right? So we have the task mining and task capture, UiPath Process Mining, Automation Hub, Communication Mining, and then finally we will have some discussions on any questions or doubts you may have. All right, so before we deep dive in, about the UiPath business automation platform, right? So it operates in just 3 levels of framework, which is discover, automate, and operate. And Discover got 4 different tools: Automation Hub, Communication Mining, Task Mining, and Process Mining. And that is why we want to look more into the Discover. So this is a very important phase, Discover, right? So if things not done properly in the Discover phase, it's really hard to automate. And that's why business analyst as a role, it's very essential for any successful automation process, right? So not every automation process are successful here. So people say about AI and automation and many things, but not every automation process is successful. If you analyze the reason behind that, why it is not successful, and the answer will be, the discovery is not done properly, right? So they have automated something that is not supposed to be automated, or something, there is a gap in the requirement, customer told something and we have delivered something else, right? So these kind of hiccups happens in the automation world. So if this needs to be avoided, so we need to do this discover phase very clearly. So as a business analyst, you have a lot of role to perform. And we go through a different stages. So UiPath implementation methodology model. So even though there are a lot of customized model available in industry, UiPath strongly recommends these best practices to the industry, right? To follow these things for a successful process. And those implemented this methodology have seen a significantly highest rate of success than compared with those who have some unorganized process, or they have their own processes. Like this one worked much better, and there is a proof of different clients, successful clients. They are really good clients, and they have, by applying this model, we are able to deliver a highly successful rate, right? So what, as a business analyst, we are going to take away something in this one, right? So the project actually starts off in the kickoff phase, that everybody knows about that. So in the kickoff phase, there will be certain roles involved in that. So initially there will be a project manager will be available. There will be a solution architect, and of course, if required, we will involve automation developer as well to discuss ideas, right? So that is, setting up the scene, the automation project, like initially. So it's the kickoff phase, so where everybody discuss about ideas. So before even we begin any kind of automation implementation, right? So we actually do this opportunity identification. So we do some process feasibility study there, right? So in the kickoff phase, And the main task that will be done there, they will check the automation readiness discussions about the infrastructures, the different environments. So what are the different environments we are going to use, and what is the data, what are the data that we are going to use? The test cases, which is the UAT test cases they are going to use. So everything will be discussed here. And there will be a channel set up for communication. So how we are going to communicate with each other, because it's not an easy task. Like, it is a team effort we have to deliver, and to deliver a successful automation project, right? So everything will be set up. So if there is any issues, how we are going to track that issue. If you don't have any access to any application, how we are going to track that. So everything will be listed down, and it's called as a customer readiness checklist. So that is prepared, and the issue tracker is prepared, and we have a team set up and everything. So that's where the kickoff happens. And you can ask me, like, if business analysts have any role in this one. Yes, of course, we have, right? So it is recommended that business analyst also be involved in that kickoff phase, but usually it is not, because even before the business analyst is taken on board, the process is already identified, and it's ready to be automated. So now when the business analyst comes in on board, so he will check what are the automation readiness discussion, and are they valid, right? So he will be asking many questions, as if it is if the environments discussion and the UAT discussions, the documents, whatever is prepared, is that valid or not? So business analyst can have a look and provide any feedbacks in that. But his actual work starts in the business case and technical validations, right? So there are various key tasks performed there. So he checks the automation ideas there. So what are the tasks we are going to automate? And the business analyst, he or she, so they will assess whether it can be automated or cannot be automated. So they will be checking against various parameters like complexity or the feasibility, and prioritize the automation ideas, right? So based on the documents or the ideas selected, so they will be checking the feasibility assessment in the with the applications or with the data. So the proper analysis is conducted, right? So that is what the business analyst is. They have to analyze the scope. So what are the in scope items, and what are the out of scope items? So this is like set up kind of what can be expected out of this automation, or what cannot be expected. So setting up an expectation to all the business stakeholders is one of the main tasks that business analysts do very upfront, right? So based on what have been decided, so he or she will advise, yes, we are going to deliver this, or no, we are not going to deliver that. So we know the scope, in scope items, we know out of scope items, and we know the purpose of doing that automation. So why we actually need to do that automation at all, right? So why are we going to perform this automation? Why don't we do it manually, right? So these are the analysis that the business analyst will perform. So by doing it manually, we are taking X amount of time, right? Or we are taking X amount of effort. And after automating, we are doing that in X minus Y or something, right? So we are saving this much amount of time from that X amount. So that is kind of the benefit or realization that the business analyst will try to give early in the stage, during the kickoff stage, or the business case and the technical validation, right? So business case and technical validations, yes, they validate the business case that is identified to be automated. Technical validation is all about the assessment. So based on, okay, they identified this process actually involves 5 different applications, right? 1 Excel, 2 web application, 1 API application, and 1 database. So is the tool selected? So what is the tool used to? So mostly it will be UiPath. So is UiPath capable of communicating with these tools like the Excel, the web application that is available, or the database? Is the tool able to communicate with that? are we able to perform a transaction, using the tool? So that is what we assess during this thing. So the things that can be automated or cannot be automated. So we involve the solution architect and the project manager in this phase and identify whether or not this can be automated. So as an output of the business case validation, so we'll be giving that business case and validated, and we confirm whether that requirement can be met or not met. And also we prioritize which item are we going to automate it first, right? And next comes the process analysis stage. So in the process analysis stage, so something very important happens there. So this is slowly getting more structured now, because we know what is the current state of the process, right? So currently, what is the manual steps involved to do that, and what is the effort required, and what are the applications, what are the screens we have to navigate, and how complex it is. So everything is known by this phase. So because we have the documented already in the business case validations, we know the requirement, what is automated or what is not automated. So the manual steps, so we call that as a current state of the process, or we call that as the as-is processes. And now in this phase, we are going to capture the keystroke levels and details of the process and document it. So this document is called the process design document, right? So UiPath provide a template for this one. You may follow that. So it's available in the UiPath portals. So you can get access to that template, but you can reach out to me if you need any templates on the PDD or SDD, right? And you actually define the to-be process. So to-be process is the future state of the process. So you are going to define and finalize the to-be process. So currently it is like this. And after automation, it looks something like this. And we are going to save this much amount of time. Right? So that is what you are trying to portray in this to-be section, right? In the PDD, you have a current state and the to-be state. So everything is documented, and we call that as a PDD, and that PDD has to be signed off. So each phase, so before you move to the next phase, something has to be signed off, right? So in this phase, the output is PDD and the UAT plan. So UAT plan is what are the test data involved, and what are the application we are going to test, and what are the scenarios we are going to test, and what are the expected output, right? So these are the things that we document in the UAT plan. And who are the stakeholders that we are going to involve with us in the UAT testing, and who are the key persons in each processes, right? The SMEs, subject matter expert in each of the processes or the application. So everybody we are going to involve in the process analysis stage, right? So, and we know that whom to discuss, right? In case of any kind of issues in the application or any escalations, who needs to be contacted. So everything is well planned during this process analysis stage, and business analyst plays a very key role in all these sections, right? But we can get help from the solution architect or the project manager. So there are two different project managers. One is the client project manager, and one is the partner project manager. So there is a team called the implementation team, which is the RPA implementation team that has number of business analysts, that has number of developers, that has solution analysts, everybody. So the entire implementation team is called the project implementation team. So we are like the business analyst used to be part of the project and the implementation team, but we have to establish the relation with the clients, right, whom we are going to do the process. Right, so that is what the business analyst like enables that interaction between the client and the project implementation team, and do the translation of the requirement into technical terms and all the technical terms into the requirement terms. So that is the main job of the business analyst, right? So like we are like pretty much busy as a business analyst until the process analysis stage. But what happens after that? So this project will go through an implementation phase where like you can do multiple other processes, but in the same processes from now onwards, like there will be some minimal monitoring from you, Like you are not going to create any more documentation, right? But you will be supporting the entire implementation from now on, right? So next come the solution design phase. So yes, you are also important role in this one. But what you will be doing is that like overseeing what they are done, like how the design and development has come. So next stage is the solution design document, which is usually prepared by the development team, but you can actually have a review about that and see whether it meets our requirement. If like if it is going in a right way, or if there is any deviation that you find in the solution design, you can actually provide your feedback and make that corrected, right? So you work together with the team to get this signed off, the solution design signed off, and application tracker is up to date, and any technical testing plan is up to date. So what is application tracker, right? So this application tracker is nothing but it is a kind of a Excel, right? So where you maintain a list of applications involved, including any tools or technologies that we may need access to, and who needs those access. So is it the project team or the stakeholders or both? So you will have all the checklist of that, whoever need access and what are the environment they need access. And so whether the robot is going to have access as well, it may be the infrastructure level access, right? So everything will be documented in that application tracker. So, we don't miss anything in the later phase. So, robot is there must not be any complaint like robot don't have access or the developer is not having access, so we are not able to proceed further. So, there is no such dramas, right? So we track everything in the application tracker, right? And so the solution document once completed there. So solution document will have more in-depth details about the technology that is implemented, how the automation is going to be implemented, how many robots will be involved, and are there any queues or nothing, but it's a kind of a data pool where the application data, like the transaction data, will go into the orchestrator. So the orchestrator is one of the important tool that we have, right? So it's one of the core UiPath product. So the data goes into the orchestrator, the robots, the triggers, everything. And is there any dispatchers and performers? It is more into the framework level details. So those are the things will be in the solution design, but you may ask questions like how it is going to impact the requirement, right? So you definitely can ask question, even if it is more technical, you can ask how this is going to help us achieve our requirement, right? So these are the things you can ask, and then actually happens the development and testing, where business analyst not much necessary there, right? So they just skip us during the development phase. Only the developer, the solution architect, and the project manager work together, and they have a lot of things to do using their development, their testing activities. So there will be multiple developers involved in that. So each developer will build their solution, build workflows, test that. It's called unit testing, and they merge it together everything. That's called integration testing. And there will be code review happening. The solution architect will review the code, and they have a technical testing plan as well. So as part of the input, they will take our process design document, because they are developing the requirement, right? So it is the process design document and solution design document, the application tracker, and any testing plan. They take that as an input, and as an output, they build the beautiful automation. And that you can see that in the testing environment or the UAT environment, the robot actually executes it. So you can involve in that as a business analyst and see if the robot is doing the right thing, right? So in the meanwhile, what you can do is you can talk to the business and enable the UAT stage. So where you play a vital role, because you already prepared the UAT plan, you can involve with the UAT stakeholders and enable the the UAT testing. So in the UAT environment or the test environment, you can just test. So sometimes there won't be any UAT environment in certain projects. So they say, okay, test environment, let us consider as UAT, or there is some pre-UAT, or there is some other environment will be given for your UAT testing. So all you have to do there is to perform some key task, that is to execute the UAT plan that you have prepared during the in the process analysis stage or the business technical validation stage, right? So you have to monitor things carefully here. If the solution is actually deviating from what we have stated in the PDD, right, or the requirement, if there is anything deviating from the requirement, any single point, you have to log that as part of your issue tracker. So it's called as a defect or an issue. So UAT issue, usually it is a blocker to go into production. Depends on how severity the issue is, right? So few low priority issues can be fixed quite quickly, but here is a tricky part in this, right? So the business usually, you accept that if it is working fine, but if something new scenario comes, right, something that unexpected happening here, so that is where they say maybe like this also need to be part of the delivery, right? They will tell this, we need this as well, right? That is where it's a huge challenge. So how you overcome that challenge is, we have already signed the PDD, we have already signed the STD, and this scenario is not covered anywhere. So you can enable a meeting with the project implementation team and see how fast you can bring that feature or defect into our delivery. If it is taking too long, then you can move that to the next release. Depends on your discussions with the stakeholders, right? So here you will also like have a plan to deploy into production, and you have a kind of a document. Everything is documented, user manual kind of thing. So after the implementation is done and the robot is in production, you have a user guide to see how to run the robot. Even a non-technical user can use this automation. So that is the main objective of it, right? So all this document needs to be prepared. That is called the run book document. And yeah, so the UAT plan is executed and it is signed off and it is all good for deployment. So it's moves into production. So once it moves into production, so you have certain hypercare period. It may be 2 weeks or 1 month or 2 months, depends on the project requirements. So you can monitor. There will be a support team involved to monitor the bot outcome. So how it is running on daily basis, and any issues, there will be support provided. And so you can complete the production, right? So finally it will go to the closure. So where the main roles also will be the business analyst. So we give it as written. So this is what you expected and this is what it is working. And the clients also verify that in their environment, in the production environment, they verify all the result and say, yes, it is working all good. And it is all signed off. So this is called the entire UiPath implementation methodology. So there are so many tasks involved here. I don't have enough time to say each and every task, but there are many documents, there are many templates to be followed. And right from signing of the work until you get the final sign off of the project closure. So there are so many roles involved, so many tasks, and so many documents. So all this checklist and the templates available in the UiPath portal. And if you don't have access, yeah, you can still get in touch with us to obtain one of your copy. Okay, and yeah, so this and yeah, we'll go into the task mining, right? So it is called. So this is one way. Why we are going into task mining is my first question, right? So why don't you do it manually? Because it's in a discover phase. So discover is one of the important phase. We are discovering the requirements. So why you want to go to task mining or automation hub or communication mining, whatever it is? Why don't you do it manually, right? So first of all, a customer comes to us and say, see, we want to automate a process, right? So we say, okay, yeah, we can automate. So what you want to automate? And they are not sure what we want to automate because it's a large enterprise and there are so many users within a process. And the process is highly complex. They don't understand what the process is, and they don't know how many steps involved and how many stakeholders involved. There are so many stakeholders involved, and it is going to take ages and ages to understand from each of the stakeholders, right, what they are doing, how the workflow is done. So it is highly complex. Any easy process, So from my previous session, so a standard input, a stable process, no exception rate, and the volume is high, yes, automate. But now we have all these things. At the same time, they don't know what are the steps involved, right? So that is where this task mining and process mining and communication mining comes into picture. The automation hub is something else. I'll come to that. So there are two things in task mining. One is called assisted task mining and one is called unassisted task mining. So assisted is straight enough. So we can straight away go and use task mining. So I'll share my screen on how to use that. So this will be more. Stop sharing. Okay, so if you see my screen, this is called Automation Cloud, and it's a cloud platform where we get access to orchestrator and things. So you can see orchestrator. So what we need is task mining, right? So it's pretty much fresh. So I get a new login just to explain right from basic, right? So anything I can archive if something is not there. So start a new project. So you can create a project, right? UiPath, UiPath demo app or something, and you can give some context of what it is, what kind of automation you are going to create, right? So this will create some steps. So the users involved. So if there are 5-10 users in your organization, including the business stakeholders, you can give them access using this. So they will get an email to install task mining and things. So no, I don't have any users. So I say done. So the UiPath demo app is created now, right? So it gives me two options. So one is to capture trace and another is the build trace, right? So you can take any one of them and start building your app, right? Start building your scenarios, right? So, but the prerequisite for this is you need to install task mining in your computer. So, imagine there is a business user who is performing transaction in his system, and he performs navigate to different screens and enter things, and there are so many scenarios through that. And if they are doing that, they don't have any requirement document or anything. So now this act as a requirement just to capture the requirement. So let us say capture trace, and it asks. I say it is trying to open task mining. I say yes, you can open task mining, right? So by clicking start, I'm giving my consent for recording. So this will actually record whatever is going on in my screen. Right, so before that, let me open an app called UiPath demo. UI. Okay, that's okay. So we can actually use any app. Maybe I take a calculator. Okay, let me click on start. So first thing, I enter a number. It says recording in process. So on clicking that, it asks me, why did you do that action? So this is enter my first data input. And then I say plus. It's and equals. And I done with my, this is for, understanding for a demo purpose. I give, very simple calculator, but you can imagine the complex applications that you are using. It can interact with any kind of applications. It must be within your system, and yeah, it can just record it, all these sequences, right? So this thing actually don't need, if it is a very like simple application like calculator, you don't need a task mining to do that. So only with the application where you don't know what they are automating, not able to identify a scenario, what it is. So those are the place we need this task mining. And it says start and end, and there is a calculator. And when you open the calculator, it actually records these 3 steps, which is mouse click, enter my first data, and I add, click on add or something. You can change that and click on equals, right? And it gives the answer. And you can keep recording, as much as you want. And this can be exported to a document or a XAML, so which is called, the UiPath Studio. So they will download this one, and they can start building automation using this XAML, right? Otherwise, you can export it as a docx, which is process design document. So I discussed you about the process design document, or you call that as a process definition document. But thing is that we are monitoring the process, right? So it gives this one. And yes, so this is another way of getting the template of process design document. So where these are the items that needs to be include, process key contact. So it gives the process name as is process. So this is exactly the as is process, right? So it says 3 actions, 3 mouse clicks, and things. It gives a high level of the process, but internally you can actually type what are the processes involved. At the same time, if you export this as a XAML, export as a XAML, then you can use UiPath Studio to build on top of that. So here you can see because my file is open or something. So this is the UiPath. So you can give this to the developer, and the developer will clearly understand. So what are the steps involved in that process? Otherwise, every time there will be multiple communications going on, and you still try to explain them what you actually need. But by giving this, he understand, okay, this is the steps. So what you are seeing is the UiPath Studio. So this is the one the developer used to code, create workflows for the automation. And this thing that we are using here, it is the orchestrator, or the cloud platform, cloud portal. So where we get access to not only to the orchestrator, but also to the task mining and things. But mainly we call it as orchestrator. Right. 。  . 。 。 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 。 。 。 . 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 So Okay, let it open. But while I say that, so you can still add more and more scenarios into that. You are able to build a diagram because some things has lot of branches into that. If you click something, something else has to happen. Otherwise, something else has to happen. The if, else, and all the loops. So you can build a workflow using this build diagram, and there are so many other features into that. So now it gives you another workflow. So then you can merge both of the traces and build the workflow. This is one thing, but this is called the assisted task mining because you get some assistance to do that. But something is called unassisted. So which is that you invite a user. So you can invite many users into that. And if there are 7 or 10 business analysts or business users there, so you get all their recordings in your task mining. So you can see that this got 3 actions, and similarly all the other actions also come into the same thing. So from other business users how many steps involved, right? So yeah, I'll leave it to you to explore on this one, but we'll move on to the next thing. Let me see if see, it is open. So see, while I open that, it actually already it is automated, right? It gives all the clicks and the left buttons and things. So the developer will actually work on this and make it even more perfect, and make it a complete automation workflow. Okay. So this is what I want to show in task mining. So now I think you might have understood the purpose. So it is mining the task, right? So whatever user is performed, it's trying to mine it. So we know nobody can hide, right? So it's not about hiding, but sometimes business users they do some complex scenarios and forget about some kind of data input. It might be a very key input, but they might have forgot it to tell you. And if you missed that in the requirement, it's a huge gap, right? The entire automation is it is flawed. So by including task mining, not even a single click is missed. Everything is captured properly. You know clearly what are the application, including the screenshots, everything. So there is no chance that we go wrong in this with task mining, right? So what is the next one? Assisted, unassisted. Yeah, process mining. This is quite a complicated topic for a business user, at least. Don't have process mining. Processes is there. I don't have process mining. Start automating. Okay, so process mining, it is a machine learning model. So what it expect as part of process mining is very similar to task mining. So task mining actually capture the tasks, right? But the process mining, what it does is it mine the processes, right? So yeah, it is as simple as that. But what it does is even much more than task mining. So what it does is it like different data sources are connected into your process mining, and it performs some kind of analysis, right? Because it include a machine learning model, but you don't need to understand how it actually works, but what it is capable of doing, right? So as a business analyst, if you understand that, you can suggest the customer, you could go for process mining. Because all the data sources are connected to process mining, and process mining suggests where the bottlenecks are, so where the most time is spent on a manual process. So it analyzes days and weeks and months, and then gives you a picture of where more time is consumed. So you can focus more on that specific bottlenecks, right? So it may say that like fewer more manual and repeated process, so you could automate that. So that is kind of the thing. So in the next session, if I get that access, I will be showing you how the process mining actually looks like, but it is pretty much similar to this task mining. right? So we get a high-level view of the kind of you're starting a new project, and you connect your data sources or Excel sources, and then you see the data in a picture format, and you can see in a kind of a workflow, and it shows where the data is actually flowing through, right? So that's one interesting tool. And why we say manual and technology-led? Because technology-led is already automated, but manual is like you can connect to your data source and do all the analysis. But technology-led, you leave it to the technology, the machine learning model, and that will work for for a number of days and number of hours or number of users, and then you can configure different things, and then you get the output. All right, so we'll move on to the Automation Hub. Automation Hub. So Automation Hub is nothing but you are documenting the processes like you see in the process design document and the solution design document. So the Automation Hub actually gives you a platform, and so you can create some kind of automation and document everything. You are able to attach some documentation in a requirement, and at the same time you can actually do a kind of a feasibility study of what you are going to automate, and what are the advantages that we are going to get by automating a process. So it's quite easy to communicate the return of income. And so in a company, like we'll be giving access to pretty much all the users. Right. So yeah, pretty much all the users saying already in progress. It's a brand new orchestrator I just started to explain right from scratch. Otherwise, we can see so many automation already there. In migration. So let me try to log into another user and see where the information is. So if you don't have access to the admin hub, so what you need to do is like go to the tenant level and you try to add the services. Sometimes you don't get access to the service. So specifically in this for this user, you have disabled it, so we no longer able to do that. So let me go and try the other user and see first of all, you need to get the access to work on the Automation Hub. Okay, I'll sign it with another account and see if it is there. So it's kind of a web portal. So all the users in the enterprise will have access to that. So this is mainly to enable communication, right? So in the last session, I was telling about something called the automation idea, right? So working together and supporting each other in terms of providing the information, right? So you need to create that awareness, the automation awareness to all the stakeholders. So once you do that, pretty much you are successful in doing that, right? So the Automation Hub is exactly doing that, supporting collaboration between all the stakeholders, because you will be able to submit ideas, right? And this, you'll be able to submit ideas, and these ideas will be highly transparent, whether your idea is accepted or not accepted, right? So enterprise can have different departments like IT, human resources, sales and marketing, and so on. So if you're from finance and accounting department, for example, and you can choose the process itself, like like which category you belong to, like invoice to cash or invoice to payment, and for the invoice processing. So what kind of idea type it is? Are you an employee, or are you a COE, are you a citizen developer, or change request, right? So, but you might have got some questions here. What this is the employee driven? Like employee is any employee, right? He can give, but COE is it is you are part of the implementation team, right? So COE is kind of a project team that works within an enterprise. So they are the one who is going to automate that. So kind of your starts with your company name and say it's automation center or something. So they are the team that belongs to automate that. So you belongs to that team, right? So your project manager belongs to the team who can submit some ideas there. Or it is a citizen developer. If you're a business analyst, you can use this option as a citizen developer and submit your automation idea. Or change request is, you have already automated something, but you find a new defect or something and you want a change request. So you can do that in Automation Hub, right? So let us go with one of the COE driven idea and say, what we are going to automate, right? So there might be so many processes. So you need to give the name for the automation, say kind of a invoice calculator app. You are going to automate invoice calculator process. And you give something that user has to manually enter 100 transactions every day, which is manual, not efficient, and error prone. So there might be various reasons. I'm just giving an example, but you can give. And what is the pain point? Data not accurate. Time consuming dependency, something like that. So you have some dependency or something. Any negative impact you can give, but if you don't understand what it is, just there is a toggle button. It says how it is affects the enterprise, such as low morale, slow response time for customers. Right. So this kind of thing. If there is any downside of this automation, so you can tell that, or if you are not doing this automation, so how it is going to impact. Right. So you can have that here. But my main aim is not to show that, but this kind of assessment. So what is the primary reason to automate the process? Is it cost, which actually many company relies on? They focused on only cost, but it is not only the cost, right? So it is more than the cost, like it is quality or the productivity, and even sometimes the employee morale. Some employees, it works day and night, and it's our job to help them, right? So those kind of things also a primary reason to automate. But mostly you can say it is cost. Right. If that is the reason your company want to automate, you can put that, but otherwise you put the correct reason why you are trying to think. So I put it as productivity. Process change in the next month, no change expected, or some change expected or something. So all the reason you are choosing will actually determine whether or this process is going to automate, because finally it's going to create a score. So that will actually it will help the project implementation team. So by now, like depends on the benefit. So whether they will decide whether to automate or not automate. So working days per year. So you gives like 220 days, and per day working hours per day, or the employee works like 8 hours, and say for example 85,000 is the average employee cost. And how long? So this is the actually what I am saying here is currently how much the full-time employee is charging to do this work. And now more about the process volumetry. So either is it a daily process or a weekly process, you can say, and per employee how long it takes. So maybe a 5 employees is working on that per employee, and average processing time per process, it takes 10 minutes per process. And error rate, yeah, there are chance of error rate like 10%. So rework time per transaction. So if something goes wrong or during the transaction, how much time needs to rework on that to make it correct? So I will say that it is 2 minutes or something. Average work to be reviewed, say 10%. Average review or audit time per transaction, let's say 10 minutes audit time. So by doing this, process peaks at times, it will be peak, at times there will be nothing. I say it is a regular one. Average number of steps, like between 20 to 50 steps, I will say. A number of ways to come this same way every time. It's a standard process. Percentage of digital data input, I will say 100% it is digital, because they are asking, sometimes you have in a written format somewhere or a photo format, so it is not accepted. Even if it is photo, you need to keep it in a folder, right? It should be within a computer, not in a paper format. Whether it is scanned data, no, I don't think there is any scanned one. So structured data is, you'll with them manually, you need to be able to copy the data and paste the data. So that is called structured. If you are not able to do that, that is called unstructured. For example, it is a scanned document. We called it as unstructured because after it is scanned, you cannot copy the text, right? So once all this is done, and you have all the information about this, you can save or submit maybe. Okay, I still didn't complete all the information. Where I'm missing. Did I miss any? Yeah, here it is. Per day, like they perform like 20 per employee. Submit. So if you still didn't complete, so it will complain you to finish that properly. Where did I miss? See here. So what are the application involved? So you need to give calculator. I create a calculator. You can create all your applications like Excel or the application name, right? And give the version 10.0, 1.0. This is all for example. And say your comments and say submit. Is it still accepted? Submit for a review. Yes, I submit. So this is awaiting review. So everybody can submit this. So if you have a automation idea, and you can submit that, and that will go through evaluation. Okay. And here you can see that you are saving that 367 hours per year, right? So the cost for this will be the you're going to save this much. Like currently it is costing this much because there are 5 employees. So this is actually costing this much. but by automating that, so you will be able to save something, right? So you are going to save 813 hours per year, and benefit per employee is 39,000 per year, right? So it gives a clear picture of the return of income. So benefits per company saved per year, and sorry, benefits saved per year is this one. So originally it takes this many hours, and we are going to save this many hours. So still there is some benefit of 40,000. So this amount actually determines whether they are going to automate. There might be 100 ideas there. So the more hours they are going to save, so that will be selected for automation, right? So yeah, pretty much, like most of the companies now using UiPath actually uses Automation Hub for all their monitoring the pipeline, the automation pipeline. So they use Automation Hub. It is effectively used. Sorry, I have to stop here just because of the time, but I got still something more to cover, so which I will be covering in the next session. Right, so I got one of the important topic, communications mining, and also I will show how the process mining looks like as well. So process mining and communications mining, I will touch base when we meet next week. But I have shared plenty of information here. It will take some time to digest if you're listening it for the first time. But you feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Yeah, but I'm running this kind of, it's very hard that we cover everything in a 1 hour session. So we are conducting in-depth training with to automate anything. So there are more programs available if you are looking for training in specific tools or technologies or within UiPath, right? But other than that, you have UiPath Academy to learn. You can learn yourself. But if you need any personalized training, you can contact me. Yeah, but we can discuss if you have any questions now.
Can I have a go first?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. What you have shown me was like an happy path. On the other hand, one of your client is going to give you a recording. Let us say he, she, or the bot is going to be super quick with their hands, and they could have done like 20 clicks within the 20 seconds. You have to follow it. There's no way of asking them to put a task capture in there because they don't want it. All they can share with you is a recording, and you have to really follow it every millisecond and document it. Is there an easy way around it, or this is it? This is the reality.
Yeah, so you got a recording, right? So you got a kind of a video recording, MP4, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, as a business analyst, if you got time to go through that, and if you got accesses to that application, so there are two ways you can do that. So one is manual steps. You install the application, follow the same steps, and yeah, you can document it in the PDD, right? So that is the simplest way. But if you're going to do it in another automated way, so if you want to reduce your manual work, then communications mining is the way. So because it will accept the recorded videos and it can accept there. But it depends on how you want to go. But if you don't have access to communications mining, then yeah, you will go, you do it manually and follow the steps and record it using task capture. So that is another way. You can do it using, you install task capture in your thing and follow the same thing. So it is generated in the task capture.
I'm afraid to say we can't get hold of that application. It is theirs. We need a login and we can't get hold of it. So only way we can do is watching them carefully and putting it together.
Exactly. So yeah, that is the biggest challenge of a business analyst. You don't get accesses, right? So only if you have accesses, then it's good. Otherwise, what you need to do is follow the video carefully and record the steps in your process design document.
Okay, that's the only way then. Yeah. Thank you.
That's the traditional way that we follow.
Yeah. And another question, we have PDD and we also have BRD. Which one is fit for the purpose in the automation world? Can we go with eyes closed and say, we are using UiPath, PDD will do? Or should we say, we might require a BRD as well in some cases? What is the best way to approach this?
So by BRD, did you mean that it's a business requirement document from the business team? You are getting some documents, right? Regarding the process.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So as per UiPath best practices, so I strongly suggest you to use the process design document. So convert all the BRD requirements into the PDD. So PDD will be our requirement to the developers. So you capture everything in the PDD. Even though it is in the BRD, you need to capture it in the PDD and provide screenshots and things in the PDD. So provide the keystroke level information and make it a proper requirement document.
So if anyone comes up with a discussion, let's say a random discussion, we can definitely speak for ourselves saying PDD is more comprehensive compared to the BRD. So we are good to go with the PDD.
Yeah.
So can we come to that conclusion?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That will be all from me.
No, thanks, Isha.
Hey Raj, to include that on the PDD part and BRD part, I didn't get the name of the Sundara. I don't. I think she's a lady, right? Okay. So on that front, right, I have been working as a business analyst past 5-6 years with UiPath and automating those in RPA. So to add on that, if the business requires a BRD from their end, we can do that, and also we can put PDD in place because PDD is more towards UiPath, aligned to the UiPath, how the requirement should be, as is to be, and then you have all these exceptions like business exceptions, your application exceptions, and you can also add some higher level test scenarios. You have applications also what are going in. So it's very pretty much like in detailed. You can say a Bible for everyone in the team to go through, and a very comprehensive document.
Yeah.
So we can suggest that.
Yeah, you can suggest to the business because it is not only the business requirement, because it is much more than a business requirement, right? So you will have more automation related, because we are not business analysts, you are automation business analyst. So this will have more information related to the process, right? As you told, like the exception, that's a good point. Except business exception and application exception, so many things are included here. So this is going to be the requirement for building an automation process, right? But you may provide a link to the BRD. If business still insists, you can still provide a link as a references. But you need to get the signed off of the process design document from the business, right? So they are also aligned with that. So that is the main task of a business analyst, to convince the business stakeholders to make you like to be used of the implementation model, right? Our processes, the process design document and solution design document. So that is the business analyst job, to explain that to the business people. Does that answer your question? Hey, Tim, thank you very much. No worries, mate. Appreciate it.
Rajnish, I have a question.
Yeah,
Continue.
continue.
Yeah, so we have seen mining and the process mining, but that as a business analyst, are we the responsible, depend on the business requirement to suggest like which one to be follow and which one to be, the advised one. So there are like very minor differences between this both task mining and process mining. But then does business allow us to take that decision, or we have to again, we have to they explain the difference, or maybe depend on the situation, like So how as a business analyst we should understand the difference?
Like like why whether you need to suggest task mining or process mining. I know it's a slight difference, but you need to you need to understand, right? So if it is more data related, then you go for process mining, right? So you like business don't even know what they have to automate, right? Then that is where you would recommend a process mining. But if business know what needs to be automated, but they don't know, how many steps are involved in that, and they have so many team members across the globe, and they don't know who is doing what, and that is where task mining comes into picture. But whether to install task mining or process mining, not your decision. So you can provide the suggestion. It's the decision of the sponsors, the project managers, and process owner. So they will decide whether to implement or not. So if it is easy, then they will implement. Otherwise, you have to capture in the PDD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, thanks for raising that. Good question. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? There is one.
Raj, one question I have, Harpreet here.
No worries.
So task mining, task capture, automation hub. So all these, do they charge extra for like from UiPath, or is it a complete package?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I need to get back. But I
Okay,
think, I think there is charge for each and every tool, right? So every additional features comes with a package. Yeah, definitely there are charges
got
in
it.
it, but I cannot comment directly. But if you can connect with me offline, or if your customer want to join to automate anything, then we go through that. It's kind of it's kind of I need to go through that process with them and provide the estimation of how it's a separate process.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct,
thanks.
correct. So one more thing. So when you said when we start with kickoff, so before kickoff also there is a process like pre-sales team would reach out, or only it's the kickoff?
No, it's much earlier. It's you're thinking out of box. That's really good, but I don't
Yeah,
have any vision
just
on
to
that. Yeah, so customer decides to go with UiPath for some reason. We analyze many products and so on. But yeah, then they realize that okay, UiPath is the number one product, and they are the best to automate things. So they go with UiPath.
correct.
And they know, because not only selecting UiPath, they have to automate their process. The many complex processes are there. They have to automate that, and they decided to go with UiPath. Now, first thing in the kickoff itself, they know what process they want to automate. Right? They don't know how to automate. That's why they involve people like us to automate anything, to automate their tasks. So they
Got
know
it.
actually what they need to do. Like they are spending a lot of money and they are wasting a lot of time. So now they want to involve a professional team like us to automate their process. So that's where we involve, and then make it much easier, like business analysis and process design, document creation, and automation.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think this session was amazing, Raj, and because it everything like you explained was great, and like it was really a good refresher for me as well, because I have
Okay.
not worked mostly on task capture and sorry, task mining and process mining. Those tools I have not able to touch base, because as you said, it involved cost. So
Yeah.
most of my yeah, the team didn't use that, but automation hub was one of which I've been worked on, and really sophisticated tool to do the estimations, and it really shows how where we are and how much we will be saving. So it's a
No
great tool.
worries. Yeah. You will learn more. Keep joining the session and we'll show more. But anyway, thanks for your feedback, Harpreet.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody else have any other question? Bhavna, Isha, Sazad, Sridevi, hi, Rakesh, Brian, and Sushil. But anyway, I really appreciate that you joined the session. Thank you very much. Keep joining the next two sessions as well. That's even more interesting. And yeah, thank you very much. If you don't have any other question, I will stop it here. Thank you.